Alrighty then. Hello, SegaCrew. How are we doing? Yeah, so I'm back. Hello. For those that may have missed the one, I am Viper or Viper UK or Viperracing as I go by on Twitch. Welcome to the House of the Dead 3. This is the third game in the House of Dead series. There is another game coming up right after this, which is its sequel. The way that the timeline works is very confusing. I will try and explain bits and pieces of the story. There's not really much to explain in terms of the House of Dead. It's basically zombies, kill them all, make sure you get through the zombie apocalypse alive, pretty much. There is a story in here somewhere, but we'll get on with the run. So, if we're ready on the timer, I'll give you a countdown, and time will begin when I hit survival mode. So, if we're ready, I'll give you a countdown from 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so we're going to start off with Chapter 0, Reminiscence, which is known as the prologue. So, immediately we're going to jump straight into the action here, and for those that don't know what House of Dead 3 is, or House of Dead is, so House of the Dead is a rail shooter. It came out in 2002, I think it was. This actually also got a release on the original Xbox as well. So if anybody here has an original Xbox, you can also pick it up for that. The PC version is quite easy to pick up, to be fair. But this was obviously a game, like most of the House of Dead games, started its life in an arcade. So one of the main things that you'll probably note straight away is that we're going to be shooting the zombies when they're down because of the fact that it speeds up the game a little bit. The other thing is as well is this is split up into a weird sense of it's how the game works in terms of its chapters. So after you beat the first level, so the first part of this game, the prologue and chapter 1 are the same for every player. Once you've beaten the Once you've beaten the prologue and chapter 1, or stage 1, should we call it? There we go. Yeah, so once you've beaten stage 1, you then have a multi-choice option at the end of it. So there's three places that we can actually visit. There's also multiple entrances to get into the place, as you can see. So, for those that are a bit unaware about the House of the Dead, it was one of them games that, like most good Sega games, took your money. A lot of it. Now, I'm going to try and make sure I shoot these guys when I can. There we go. So yeah, we are going to try and shoot these guys when we can. So these big guys here are a bit of a pain. Which, again, we're going to make sure we kill. Now, there is something that's unique to this game. I say unique to this game. This is... what am I on about? Sorry, this is a staple mark of the House of Dead. So that for those that have never played a House of Dead game before, the idea is to obviously kill zombies on the screen and things like that. The idea is to kill them before they kill you. The other thing is, as well, is that you have a few other bits and pieces as well. So that's Protect G. It was originated in the very first House of the Dead game. And basically, you have to stop the zombies from attacking attacking the AI. There we go. So this is our first big boss. Now we are going to see him. We're going to see him twice. There we go. So these guys here. Some of the zombies are more difficult to kill than others, but to cut a long story short with this is that there we go. Good stuff. Nice. And there should be a health, which there is. There we go. So we're going to try and keep as many lives as possible. So something that will happen in the next game is death abuse, but we'll get onto that when we get to the House of Dead 4. So that's a bit of a heads up for the next game. So this guy comes barging in here. So we're going to make sure we kill him. Nice. Nice. We got him. Good stuff. Yeah, so there's stages 2, 3, and 4 are defined on which order you decide to pick them in. So we're going to pick them in... We're going to do them in the place that we can actually do them, like the fastest one. So you get a result after every single one, and depending on your grade, so if it's an A, then you get an extra life. If it's an S, you get 2 extra lives. So we're going to go to the EFI Genome Ward first, out of the 3 choices. So we're going to pick the first option as the first stage. So them 3 options that I was telling you about, depending on which order you play them, will depend on the route you take. So this is the fastest route. So the route that we are doing is obviously the quickest one. So you do EFI Genome Ward, which is the one on your left. You then have... Ow. Okay. He hurt, but oh well. There we go. There we go. Also, these things are horrible, as are these. So what we're going to do is just going to try and hopefully get rid of these, which we are. But yeah, depending on which way you play the 3 stages will depend on what happens. And again, we've got to save G, so can actually kill them guys there. There we go. So that one's a bit difficult at times. You can stop them from hurting him. It's not always the case. Also now our what is it? Our our like what is it? Our cursor. I don't know. That's what I think I was going to say then. Apparently they really like us. So these guys really like to throw knives at you, so you have to be very careful. Now, there is a certain way you can kill them. There we go. So if you're not careful, you can actually get a bad one if you're not careful. There we go. Nice. Yeah, so for the most part, it's relatively straightforward because it's a rail shooter. For those that aren't aware about rail shooters in general, rail shooters are basically where the game moves for you. You don't move in any sort of direction. Also, nice appearing zombies there.
So they're discussing in chat about how all the bosses are based off of tarot cards. Do you have anything to elaborate on that?
Honestly, I can't say I do. I wish I could, but yeah, unfortunately I can't. There is quite a few different bosses in this game. So, one of the bosses is based off a... How the hell he hit me? I do not know. But some of the bosses are based off... I can't remember the name of it. They're based off some animals or things like that. So all the things that we are going to be doing is you have this one here, which is... I forget what it's actually called. I think it's... I actually can't remember it. Fool, that's it. Which is basically a bear with its claws. Now, this boss is one of, in my opinion, probably one of the most hardest in the game. It's very difficult. You have to make sure you can get it. But, yeah, for the most part. Nice, there we go. Also, he seems to like doing this as well, shaking the cage. But, yeah, the bosses are a variety, shall we say. So you've got Death, which is the security guard. And then I think... There we go. Nice. Oh, just about got him. Nice. So we're gonna get a two cycle here, maybe. What? I probably think it's a 3 cycle actually. But yeah, so you've got Death, which is the what's it called? There we go. Hang on. So you can't actually hurt the creature. There you go. And then you can do that with it. Like that. And that's it. Nice. That's stage 2 done dusted. But yeah, depending on which order that you do the levels, will depend on the routes that you take to get through the game. The bosses are based off... I don't know what the bosses are completely based off, but for example, Death, the big security guard is supposed to be, well, massive security guard, which we're going to see here, because he's back. So, yeah, it's not even... You see him on multiple occasions. You know reoccurring bosses? Yeah, here you go. So we've defeated the bear. We're going to defeat Death. That's the main boss for this one. And then we've got the biolabs, which... The biolabs are basically what happens when plant chemistry goes mad. Now, I want to say it's like... I'm going to call it photosynthesis gone mad, but I don't know. But yeah, you can easily get this on PC. The record, by the way, is... I don't want to say super optimized, but it is very well done, by the way. If you've never seen a House of Dead 3 run, in my personal book, I would highly recommend checking out a guy called Kaz, I think he's called. I can't remember his actual name, personally speaking, so I do apologise for that. But yeah, there's a guy that's called Kaz who's pretty damn good at these games, so I'd highly recommend giving him a shot. But yeah, if we've got any more questions from chat, by the way, feel free to mention them.
I have one. Me and Bacon are wondering, are you using 2 hands on 1 mouse?
I am, yeah.
We were like, that...
Normally I don't, but it's a case of... So normally I just click with me left... Well, what is it? Is it your index finger, your first finger? Can't remember.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So normally it's not that bad. It's... There we go. Yeah, so normally I just do one hand like this. Like that. But I find it a lot faster if I just do one hand that and then the other hand has the reload. So, yeah. But yeah,
yeah, it makes sense. We were like, it makes sense, but it's the first time we've seen something like that.
I'll tell you what, if you want to see something really odd, so a couple of years ago, I'll mention this. So about, I think it was just before COVID hit in 2020, ESA Winter 2020 happened in Sweden, and me and a friend of mine did, oops, my bad. We did this game as a co-op run. And we've been practicing things like that, but what we found out is that only one person can use the mouse. So the other person had to use a keyboard for shooting. Which, that sounds very surprising, doesn't it? You think, light gun shooter, it makes sense that, you know, that you would. But, yeah, what ended up happening was we ended up having to have a weird situation where instead of one of us, so my mate would use the mouse. He'd use the mouse for player 1, and I would use the mouse for player 2 at times. But what we did was we'd swap over, and we just found, you know what, it's actually easier if one of us just learnt how... Yeah, it'd be easier if one of us learnt how to use the keyboard. So I volunteered to use the keyboard, and he used the mouse. For context, you can only use one mouse. Just so everyone's cleared up on that, you can only use the mouse for one player rather than 2. And we even had a quick I can't remember, but I think we had a test where we had 2 mice plugged in, and obviously the game was like, I don't think it registered. Which was a shame, because doing it with 2 mice would have been pretty awesome and would have definitely helped us in the long run for sure.
Yeah, most definitely. Everyone's pretty much calling you the bravest soul out there for taking keyboard aiming on.
I mean, one of us had to pull the short straw. But yeah, so I think it was like somebody actually asked that once. It was like, wait, how's the other guy playing it? It's like the guy's playing on keyboard. Everyone went, wait, what? The guy's playing it on a keyboard? I'm like, yes, surprisingly. One of the things that did stand out for this game as well. Let's move back into a bit of this game if I could. There we go, nice. Is the fact that if you played this at an arcade, you may remember that the gun in question was a shotgun. Yep, it is. And it's a shame, because this is the one thing that I generally love to have for the PC version. I would generally love to have that as, like, the main controller. But yeah, it is what it is. Also, this guy can be a bit of a pain here, so you do have to be careful.
Let's hurry.
Now, one thing that does happen here is that we've got to defeat this guy pretty quick. So this guy's like, nah, I'm just going to get in your way. I think this is the last one here. So he now starts to hit his head. There we go. Good stuff. And eventually, he falls. And there we go. And that is death defeated. Might not be the Grim Reaper, but we defeated him. There is also one other thing I need to mention. How this game is timed. So RTA isn't where the game is timed here. The game is timed via IGT. It's via in-game time. So the record is 16:27, but that's not RTA. 16:27 is the IGT time. So my personal best, I think, is a sub 20. But RTA-wise is obviously the one that I keep an eye on. Believe it or not, is it a weird, not twist of fate, but one of the weird things that I tend to do is I actually prefer timing. Even though games like go, oh yeah, we time in, you know, in-game time. I tend to prefer having RTA timing, because if you ever submit it for a marathon, you don't have to guess. It's actually really good for not having to worry about timing it, you know. At least in my view, anyway. I don't know what other people's takes on it are, but yeah, there you go. Also, these guys get a bit annoying, which is fine. We're all good. Here we go. So we've got some tentacles here. So this is actually our first... we've actually got our first two-parter here, by the way. So, what I mean by that is... Nice, we got it. So we have... this is actually part 1 we're doing right now. But what we're going to do in a minute is we'll do part 2. There we go. Yeah, so you can get bonus score if you have max amount of lives. You get the bonus score. So unlike in the for those that are unaware, by the way, so obviously House of Dead 3 came out in arcades and things like that, as I've said. Also, here's the boss midway through this level. But one of the main things about this is that there is for those that are unaware, there is a House of Dead game on the Wii, which is called House of Dead 2. House of Dead 2 and 3. I think it's House of Dead 2 and 3 Return, or something like that. It's really good. There we go. But what you can do in House of Dead 2 and 3 is there's a original mode in House of Dead 3. Sorry, House of Dead 2. But you can actually do something similar in House of Dead 3, where you can play with unlimited lives, I believe. Also, this is the reason why we try and shoot dead fast. You'll also notice as well, see where I'm hitting it there? That's actually, there's a reason I'm doing that. Because if you notice the boss health bar at the top, that was actually pretty clean, I'm not gonna lie. There we go. Nice. There we go. That gets rid of that. So that's... There we go. Gonna quickly, if I can. There we go. Good stuff. Yeah, not too bad. But, apologies if I'm butchering half what I'm saying, by the way. It's just, a game like this takes a lot of concentration at times. Can do, anyway. Would highly recommend giving this game a shot, by the way, if you've never played it before. Yeah, if you have it on PC or have a home release, unsurprisingly, is yeah, it's a lot easier than if you were to play it at the arcades because it'd be saving you money. So that's always a good sign. There we are. I think we're done. There we are. Good stuff. And with that, we now move on to what is it? We move on to the final chapter in the game, which is called Wheel of Fate. So, a long story short in this one is the girl that you're playing as here. There's Agent G, who's from the original House of the Dead, and he has a daughter called Lisa Rogan. Now, Lisa Rogan's dad, Logan, he got lost in this factory somewhere. We've got to find him. Turns out that there's a fair bit more involved in the story, involving something called Wheel of Fate. Now, I don't know what it is with this Wheel of Fate, but yeah, it's a thing, apparently. There we are. There we are. Nice. There should be two there. There we go. Now, right at the start of this game, by the way, there is a guy that got killed by the zombies, and what ended up happening was we ended up finding out that well, it turns out he's not dead after all, even though he got killed. Which you'll find out now. There we are. So this guy was killed earlier on in the game. Well, obviously he's coming back to life. So now we're playing as Daniel. So we've got Daniel and Lisa. Now, Daniel is significant to this because what ends up happening is Daniel is Dr. Curion's son. So Dr. Curion is the main... For those that don't know the story lore of House of Dead, he is the main bad guy from House of Dead 1, and it's his son. Now, here's something that's going to mess with your mind. This game is taken after the events of the other House of the Dead games. This is the final House of the Dead game in terms of its story. Up until Scarlet Dawn, I believe. I'm not 100% sure. When I'm not 100% sure when Scarlet Dawn takes place, but yeah, just so people are aware. It's one of them things. Also, we now have Wheel of Fate, which is the main bad guy for this, and there's a cutscene that we can't skip here, by the way. So we now have to shoot him, and his star in the middle of his thing is in the middle of his chest. That is what we need to shoot to kill him. And time is going to be after. Time is going to be after we kill him. So I'll let you know when that is. It's probably like another 2 minutes away yet, but just be aware. So it's probably like another 2 minutes off yet. So one of the things that you need to do. Oh God, hello. Ideally, would help. So he will now come at you. I don't know why. He might play ball. There we go. Got him. Nice, we got him. So we took a good chunk of his health out there. So this is probably the boss where if the other bosses didn't lose you money, this one definitely will. And he also likes to move a lot. Nice. There we go. You can tell how much it's doing out of me, this. So you can, like... Yeah, you can get through to him. There we are. Yeah, so if we're ready on time, probably like another 10 seconds or so. I say 10 seconds, probably about another 30 seconds, maybe a bit more. Might be able to get him here. So he goes into this, what we'll call his final form. There we go. So that's his second one. Time. That's time. Yeah, that's it. It's a bit of a struggle, that one. But yeah, that's the House Step 3. The very easy difficulty. So there is actually an extra thing to mention here. The game has multiple endings. You kill him like this, you get this every time you beat the game, but depending on how well you scored in all of the levels will depend on what grade you get. So yeah, you get a maximum one. You play really bad, you get the bad ending. You play good, you get a good ending. So we'll see what kind of ending we get. But yeah, that is the end of supposedly Dr. Curran, and that's supposedly the end of the House of Dead timeline. Like I said, this takes place after everything else. So make of that what you will. The next game in the series, which I'm doing a run of in a second, House of Dead 4, takes place after the events of House of Dead 2. So here's the credits. And yeah, we'll see what sort of ending we get here.
She did a good job taking care of herself.
Yeah, for those that never seen it,
Do you think this will change?
here's the ending for House of Dead 3.
It's their future. Maybe nothing will change.
Like I said, loads of zombies.
We've done our part.
They all get blown away by a shotgun, and that's the end of that. There you go.
Themselves and walk their own paths.
There we go.
Believe in themselves, huh?
Just to let you know, that was a 24:59.
Ooh, very good. I got it as 25:05, but it's because of the timing. I could have been wrong with the timing. Also, I think we got the best ending. Yeah, we got the best ending.
Hey, Dad!
There we go.
What's wrong?
So this is the best ending, apparently, of the game, the funniest ending. So it turns out, Zombie Joe has hijacked her car. Yeah, this is an ending.
Hey, that's my car, you slimy bastards! Say your prayers.
She goes running after the car. It's an ending which, I'll be honest, up until I ran this game, I never knew it was a thing, but yeah, that's an ending you can get. Overall, though, we had a pretty damn good run. Apart from Chapter 1 being an A, we got pretty much S's everywhere. Our total rank is a double S. We are a special agent, hell yeah. We even get to put our name in afterwards, so I'm going to do that.
Is there anything above that level?
I think overall, I don't know. I think overall not too bad. Also, you get the game over as well. But yeah, just a few final thoughts with that, by the way. So it was 1951. I think that was decent. That felt pretty good. 1951. That might have been a PB potentially. That could have been PB. I don't know. Be good if it was. But yeah. So a couple of things to note out. So there is a story involved here. As I said, definitely go and watch the cutscenes if you want to see into a bit more about how the game works. But this game takes place after House of Dead 1, 2... So in chronological order it goes House of Dead 1, 2, 4, then 3. Overkill supposedly comes out between 4 and this one. Not sure. And then there's Scarlet Dawn, which was the latest one. Again, not sure when the timeline is for that one. This might be before Scarlet Dawn or after it, I'm not sure. But either way, there's always a zombie apocalypse somewhere, and yeah. But yeah, if you like rail shooters, stick around because I believe I've got the next one coming up after this. So you guys will be in for a double shenanigan treat with House of the Dead. I'll try and mumble and mind boggle my way through that one if I can. But yeah, unless we've got any final questions that I can answer for chat.
Is Overkill canon?
Canon. I suppose you could call it canon, yeah. House of the Dead Overkill, for those that are a bit unaware, again, I'll keep this short, but House of the Dead Overkill was a game that came out in 2007? I think 2007, 2008, somewhere around there, around mid to late 2000s anyway. And most of the game is filled up with cinematics. I do believe you can skip them if you do like a New Game Plus run, you can skip all the cinematics. But yeah, for the most part, the game's philosophy is completely different to most of them, because normally you get stuck with a handgun or a shotgun or an Uzi, as we'll see in the next game. You get stuck with one gun, whereas in that one you can pick your guns and choose which ones you want and things like that. The game is a lot more difficult, but more enjoyable, I felt, in terms of a cinematic point of view. It's often looked down as one of the worst in the series, but personally speaking, the House of the franchise as a whole is pretty good all the way through. Some people will prefer others to certain ones, but I think Overkill was probably the least favourite of the bunch for a lot of people, including me, because it was more cinematic than hands-on shooting, but depends on what you're into. Yeah, hopefully that answers that question. So it kind of is canon, but not at the same time. If that makes sense. But yeah, also here's a sort of a trailer for this as well, by the way. Can you face the fear? There you go. But yeah, that's gonna be about it for me. I think we've got a quick intermission, isn't it?
Yep.
Yep.
So, yep, we'll be right back with House of the Dead 4 with yours truly, Viper, and